consultant psychologist at PPS. Each week at Tuesday, at 9:15 on a Tuesday morning, I'm releasing a new video that essentially targets psychological well-being, particularly during this time as we're sort of still self-isolating due to COVID-19. So the topic for today, as you'll see in the title, is strategies for relocating new and existing employees. So Bron is likely to do another video on sort of tackling the HR and risk side of things, but today I'm hoping to look at how to maintain, I guess, you and your staff's mental well-being whilst relocating them to a new environment. So good morning, Jess. Good morning, Mish. Thank you so much for joining this morning. As I said, at the moment, given the situation with COVID-19, you might be relocating staff to their home environment. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. But you could also be moving a new employee to your office from another town or city, or you could be moving your business offices themselves. So it could be within the same town or city or a new one. So we're going to tackle all of those things today. I've acknowledged before in some of my previous videos that it is a challenging time at the moment with lots of changes. So I think this is an important thing to continue acknowledging, that everybody's doing their best during this time, and hopefully some of the strategies and tips that we're providing help. But if you do feel that you need some extra support with your mental health or with the mental health of a staff member who you're concerned about, please do feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to provide advice and support. So today I'm going to provide some problem-solving strategies for, I guess, easing any stress or anxiety associated with moving. So all of these things will likely to reduce stress for you, anxiety for you, as well as your staff members. So I'm going to be giving 3 tips for 3 different situations, and I alluded to them before. So working from home during self-isolation, so whether it's new or existing staff. Secondly, relocating new employees from another town or city to you. And thirdly, relocating existing employees to a new office space, whether it is in the same town or city or to a new one. So we'll go with each of those. 3 tips for each. So hopefully they'll be nice and simple. And what I want to say is a lot of these will relate to the other situations as well, but I've tried to be really specific to these circumstances. So let's start with the COVID situation and working from home. As I said, this could be existing staff who already are within your organisation, or it could be that you've decided to hire a new staff member, in which case you will be sort of acclimatizing them to their own home environment whilst learning about their new role. So the first tip I have here, like I said, out of 3, is expectations. And I think this has been discussed a lot in general recently, but I think it's important to emphasize that work at this point in time is just not going to be the same as working in the office. So the workload isn't expected to be the same, and I think this is important for employers to know so that they can adjust their expectations, but also to communicate that to new or existing staff. So we have a lot of interruptions at the moment. You know, you might have kids working from home as well, trying to do their schooling. You might be taking more time to communicate with other staff members, given that you're not sitting next to one another. And of course, there's the psychological processing of everything that's going on. So that is understandably going to affect your capacity to work at your best. So adjusting expectations for you and your staff, and actually having this discussion with your new or existing staff member can be really handy, as this can help to ease your concerns as well as theirs. Secondly, I want to talk about workplace ergonomics, and as much as I acknowledge this is not my area, we do actually have some amazing colleagues, and the first one that comes to mind is actually Deb Hunter from Move Better for Life, who's a physio and has some amazing physios she works with as well, that essentially you want to be talking to your staff about how to help them create an environment that's conducive to work from home. So This might have something to do with Wi-Fi, it might be to do with desk setup, those types of things. Like I said, Deb Hunter is a great starting point for how to sort of navigate some of these concerns. But this can help both you and your staff to feel a little bit more relaxed in your new work environment. Thirdly, online communication. So given that you're not sitting next to one another like you normally would be at the moment, I'd say it's important to make sure you and your staff members are well supported with ways to communicate either via the phone or online at the moment. We know that humans are social beings and we thrive best when we are supported by one another. So it's important for your mental health and for your staff's mental health to collaborate during this time to ease feelings of isolation. I would say that this is especially important for new staff because not only are they trying to integrate themselves into a new job, but also into a new team. And that's especially hard when you're working from home. So make sure that they're well supported. See if you can get some strategy to ease that communication. And I think both you and your staff are going to feel a little bit better about the whole scenario. So PPS can help with all of these strategies. So feel free to reach out to us for support. So that's 3 tips for adjusting to the COVID situation. Now I want to move on now to relocating employees from another area to you. And what I want to come to here is essentially this model of psychology, of psychological health, I guess, called Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs, which a lot of people seem to have heard of. There's some funny memes out there today where they say that Wi-Fi is at the very bottom, indicating that's the most important thing at the moment. And I think especially in the current climate, that is hilarious. So, but basically it was coined by an American psychologist called Abraham Maslow. And he developed this theory of psychological health that was based on sort of fulfilling human needs in order of priority to get to a place of what he called self-actualization. So this is essentially achieving your true potential. And I think this is an important thing to look at when we are considering the kinds of things that we need to perform at our best in our work environments as well. So at the very bottom, and again, I'm going to be sort of touching on 3 main things to be able to get us to that self-actualization point. At the very bottom of this hierarchy or this pyramid is actually physiological needs. So these are things like food, water, shelter, the basic things that we need to survive. And next above that is safety, so a secure home environment. So if you're thinking about staff who are relocating from another area to you, you can come back to this model and think, how can I help my new employee find connections, for example, with local real estate agents, or sort of to teach them a little bit about the area that they're going to be moving into, so that they feel that those 2 sort of bottom parts of the hierarchy are fulfilled, so physiology and safety. One really good way to do this is to actually invite them to your town or city prior to them starting their new role, so that they can be helped to feel a little bit more acclimatized. The second point for relocating employees from another area is belonging. So love and belonging. This is the next point up on the hierarchy. So it can be really helpful when you're relocating new staff to get a real idea of their interests and what kinds of local groups, for example, they might be able to join, or if they've got a family, schools that their kids might be able to go to when they move to the new town. So this is the next point in the hierarchy, and if they are sort of made to feel as if they belong in this new place, they're much more likely to, again, be able to ascend that hierarchy. Which brings me to the next point up, which is esteem. So this is essentially feeling valued by others. And so one way to do this is to set up your new staff member with other members of the team so that they can feel connected really early on. Feel that sense of support and value. And once you've got all sort of three of those elements, that's when your staff are going to be in the best position to get to the very top of that pyramid, which is the self-actualization, like I said, achieving their potential in the job. So hopefully those are some helpful tips to return to for relocating employees from other areas. What I will do is I'll pop a post up with the hierarchy, or Mish, you could, if you're watching this. I'm just thinking that might be helpful to come back to when you're watching this over. Now, the final point is relocating employees from one office to another. So like I said before, that could be within the same town or city, or it could actually be moving to a completely new one, depending on your business circumstances. So again, another 3 points for you as an employer to consider. Firstly, working through together, and this kind of comes back to communication as well, like I touched on before. But once you have a plan for a new office site, it's important to speak with your staff about it and invite them to ask any questions that they have about the move, or ask for any support that they need at the time. Mish has just posted the hierarchy of needs. Thank you so much for that. Essentially, if there is open communication around this, that this is going to reduce ambiguity for you around, as the business owner, around what kinds of things might need to be considered in the move. Your staff might think of things that you haven't even thought of, so it's a great opportunity to open those lines of communication. But also they feel supported to bring up any concerns that they have with regards to a relocation. So working through together, communication, really important. Secondly is logistics. So working through barriers to the move and problem solving logistical solutions, such as time taken to travel to work. There could be a number of other examples of this, but this will help you and your staff to feel more comfortable and organised as well in the move, which will make the whole process more smooth. You'll feel less stressed and anxious about it, and so will they. So logistical things to consider. And finally, the financial side as well. So like I said right back at the beginning, Bron will talk more about this in terms of specifically what you as an employer might like to put in a relocation policy and procedure that you will then get your staff to sign. And for example, allowing for the business to provide to those staff members if they do need to make a move. But think about the financial assistance you may wish to include in such a policy, or just even sort of acknowledging that it might take a few days for the staff to move offices. If they're in the same town, this might involve, packing up their desk, getting settled, all of those types of things. That is still part of their work, so they will need to be compensated for that. So consider those elements as well, and allocate your financial resources to support that. If you're moving towns or cities, it's obviously going to be a bit of a bigger process, not insurmountable by any stretch, but it's going to take a bit more time. You'll have to consider other things like moving vans for staff to actually move their homes and their families. So think about the financial implications there as well. So 3 tips for 3 different scenarios I've covered today. I'm just going to summarize them quickly for everybody. So firstly, I covered the COVID situation and working from home. The 3 tips for today were setting expectations for you and your staff around reasonable levels of work during this time. Workplace ergonomics. So like I said, reach out to Deb Hunter at Move Better for Life if you're in the vicinity of Armidale or Tamworth, because she'll be able to help with that and help to set up your staff to feel comfortable working from home. Thirdly, online communication. So making sure that everybody is well connected so that they're feeling less isolated and more supported during this time. Secondly, for relocating employees from another area to you, I've given the example of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So Michelle's posted that in the chat, so feel free to have a look at that. It's beautiful and colourful, which always helps. Firstly, ensuring that your new staff member has their physiological and safety needs sorted. So that really involves shelter, home, those types of things, the basic needs. Secondly, that they feel that they belong in this new place. So finding ways to connect them with other members of the town or other groups that they're interested in, schools for their kids, those types of things. And finally, esteem, so feeling valued by others, setting them up with other members of the team. You might even decide to have a welcome party for them. All of those things will help to contribute to them being able to achieve their full potential on the job. And finally, for relocating employees from one office to another, working through together, like I said, point number one, again, this is about communication. So once you have a general idea of what your new office site is going to look like and where it's going to be, communicating that with your staff members and inviting them to give their feedback on it as well. Secondly, working out logistics. We know that once humans feel as if they've got a bit of a plan and that these problems are solved, that's going to ease stress and anxiety. And finally, the financial element. So what is feasible for your business in terms of allocating financial resources to support this move? So that's it for today, everybody. I hope that that's been helpful. Like I said, I'm on every Tuesday morning at 9:15 for around about 15 to 20 minutes. So you're welcome to post any questions that you have either in the comments below or in a private conversation with us. We will definitely get back to you. Thank you, Ingrid. She said, thanks for the recap. That's great. So yeah, we're more than happy to support you, and I want to re-emphasize as well that PPS can help you navigate these things. It is an obligation-free discussion to reach out to us and to talk about these things that might be handy. So please feel free to pick up the phone or email us if that's something that you would prefer. We are more than happy to assist. And also we've got a number of colleagues in the area, in the New England area, who we might be able to point you in the direction of for some of these elements. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching today. Let me know if you need anything, and otherwise I will see you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye.